In this session, we will be reviewing InCommand's rack layout features. To get to the rack layout, it's under Data Center Views, down to Rack Layout. And the rack layout of your selected site and room is displaying. Now, thank goodness this is a demonstration because there's far too many red racks here, but they're valuable for this lesson. First things first. At the top is the blue question mark. Click on the blue question mark and it gives you many definitions and instructions for how to use this page. It's actually a very complicated page. You'll find this documentation very helpful. Next, there are a number of view modes. This drop-down gives you a whole list of different view modes from which you can view your rack layout. We will highlight a few of them. The default view mode is rack status by power chain, and it basically highlights the issues, any power issues you have in your rack. I'll explain with these legends. The light green legend means there's no power warnings. A yellow rack means that there's less than 20% of the power capacity remaining in the rack. Red means the power capacity is actually oversubscribed. So as we look at this room, we see, wow, I've got a lot of racks that have oversubscribed power. Now we'll circle back and look more closely at these racks, but let me highlight a few other general issues about the page. Here on the right is the hamburger stack that has special features on the page. Clicking on the hamburger stack, I see that I can show cable tray. Clicking that actually draws the cable tray into the room so I understand cable routes. If I have temperature sensors and humidity sensors, I can click and show them, although in this particular demonstration room I don't have any. And I can enter an editor mode. Clicking the editor mode brings up my palette of changes and the list of icons that I can add, move, change on the page. So, for example, I can click on this, add a wall, add cable tray, add doors, add text, pillars, racks, airflow tiles, circles, and rectangles. And I can click the X to hide that page. If I do any changing, for example, if I take this ladder tray here, I select an element, click on the ladder tray, I can now drag this ladder tray around to make sure I position it where I want it. And I can make any number of other changes to this page. When I'm done making changes, I need to hit the confirm button to confirm my changes. Now, I'm going to call your attention back to the question mark here, and there's a discussion for exactly which each one of these icons mean, how to make changes, and press the confirm. And a guide to help you to create different elements like adding walls, doors. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go into that level of detail in this session. All right, let's remove the cable tray and just look at our racks again. And let's talk about how to better understand these colors. This rack right here, rack A07, says it's 4,204 watts oversubscribed. Well, let's click on that rack and see what we can find out. All right. Here's rack A07. It has two circuits in the rack. And indeed, it says it's 4,704 watts oversubscribed at the circuits. Well, from the rack power and power loads and threshold page, you know that we can click on a circuit name and we can see what devices are connected to the power circuits. Oh my goodness. This rack has basically a device in every one of its rack units with few exceptions. No wonder it's oversubscribed. At any rate, I can see exactly which devices I have by name, what their make model is, what their rack unit location is in the rack, how many power supplies they have, how much power is allocated for that device, and thus I can better understand now how it is that this rack got oversubscribed. I can click on any rack in the data center and see the same information. Clicking on the power circuits in this rack, I see a list of devices that are connected to each power circuit in this rack with all the same details. Okay, so that's how you can explore and understand your rack status according to the power chain and the color of each rack being red, meaning it's got problems. All right, let's look at some of the other views. For example, let's look at the racks by functional group. This would be what functional group within the IT organization owns the rack or has most of the equipment in the rack. Again, we have legends. The beige is compute racks. I can see all the beige compute racks throughout the data center. The brown is network racks. We have quite a few network racks. We have some patch panel racks. Actually, we have one patch panel rack, A12. We have racks dedicated to power. That looks like rack number 4, rack number 9, C11, and D12. And we have racks for the storage functional group. So we can see clearly here how we've organized the data center to put devices by functional group. Let me give you one more. Let's look at the rack power based on its measured average power load. Clicking here, it colors the racks a little differently. I'm now looking at the measured average power in these racks, and I have my legend. The light blue is 960 watts. It looks like here's our lowest powered rack. Light yellow is between 960 and 3640. Yellow greater than 3640 up to 6320, and so forth up to our most heavily loaded racks, which again are the red racks. In this case, red doesn't necessarily mean that I've oversubscribed. It's just telling me these are my hottest racks in the room. Okay, well, I think that gives you a good idea of what you can do with this rack layout page. I'll let you explore these other views and see what they show you and let you ask questions after the fact. Returning to the map, that concludes our brief review of InCommand's rack layout page. I hope you find it useful. Have a great day.